find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuroff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
And gentlemen, as we round to the finale of not only the JPB Euro Sprint Cup, but to the JPB TCR Cup entirely. Round number 11 sees us take to Zolder for this Grand Slam finale. My name is Zach Sweeney. Alongside me in the commentary booth, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. James Parfitt. And James, of course, it's a sad, but also quite... I don't know, quite a good at the same time. It's a bittersweet moment. Obviously, we've got an amazing championship, but also at the end of it, we have to say goodbye to the touring cars.
Yeah, we are. We're moving on from the touring cars now. We're going over to the Formula Fords to do the soggy bottom one-off league in multiple aspects of the rain within iRacing. All free content, the car, the tracks, everything, so you haven't got to do anything on that one. It's just time, I think, with TCRs dying as rapidly as they are within iRacing, within the sim itself. I know they've just come out and released a aspect to say, oh yeah, we've teamed up with somebody, I can't remember who exactly it was, to look at the touring car situation. But at the moment, it's just not changing. You know, these cars are coming up to nearly 4.5 years old, and they need refreshing, but they keep bringing in more GT and more GTPs and nothing coming out of TCRs, and it's just unfortunately led to dying numbers. And we're just deciding that we think until any form of interesting information comes out that they're going to upgrade, you know, to the new TCRs or whatever the situation may be, we are moving on for a minute. I'm not saying they're not going to come back, but they're not coming back at this moment in time until what time there's some form of update done on them.
Yeah, unfortunately, but hopefully on to bigger and better things, obviously making the most of the new rain dynamic within iRacing. But let's focus on today, shall we? As I say, very, very close stuff in the championship. Let's check in with the pros first. Only 5 points between the age-old rivals of both Dan Mould and Adam Delmont, who lead the way on 3.22 and 3.17, respectfully. When it comes to Kim-Andre Bjorklund, he's been sat idle for the most part of the season. However, a late surge sees him take to the top three in direct competition with the two SRL sister cars of John Brown and Adam McNally to round off the top five. Nick Kirsten's holding station there in P6 ahead of Fraser Geraghty. Stephen Van Campden there in P8. Carl Jacklett 6 points behind, albeit not here today, so won't be making much progress. Paddy Faulkner, JB Deju, of course, they're P10 and P11 as they always have been. When it comes to the AMs, again, a similarly close affair, albeit a lot closer for these guys. Stuart Gibbons versus Cooper Akers, Kev Ayler and Dan Paples, the main guys running for the throne. Of course, with Stuart Gibbons leading the way 9 points ahead of Akers himself, 6 points ahead of Kev Ayler, who himself is 4 points ahead of Dan Paples, who's going to be looking to hopefully secure a decent result here tonight. I have just checked. Dan is here, thankfully. He's been a bit on and off today when it comes to his attendance. He's also very, very close with the teams. We'll obviously give that a look as the sessions go on. The most important thing, though, James, of course, are those drivers' titles. Of course, the pros separated by just 5 points, and then obviously all the guys in the AMs with 3 races, more points on offer, plenty at stake.
Yeah, there is, and both championships are up for grabs. Well, to be fair, all championships are still up for grabs. And in the pro teams, the AM teams is still up for grabs as well. You know, there's only 30, 28, 29 points between the TART team and Blade Designs Gamma of Gibbons and Barnes and Ayler and Mole. So there's still options there, and there's still championships to win. And I think that's the thing that we've got to look out for. Deck is here, Mr. Rob Williams, but no Chris Barnes. So Chris Barnes, oh yes, he is here. Sorry, he is here. He's in the pits. There he is. And Stuart Gibbons, who of course has got the opportunity to wrap up the AMs. So there's a lot to play for in all championships. We are going to be trying to do a little bit of maths in the meantime. And of course, we've got that different format this week as well, Zach, because obviously we've got free 15 minutes here for the final round.
We do. So slightly altered format today. 3 15 minutes as opposed to the usual 2 20-minute races. Race 1 and 2, basically business as usual. Obviously not really too much to look into, apart from the fact race 2 is now an inverted top 6, of course, compared to what would usually just be a normal top 15. That inversion comes from race 2 to race 3, which inverts the top 15 finishes. In regards to points, races 1 and 2 will see the Heat 1 point systems in play, whereas race 3 will have the feature race point systems in play. For those unfamiliar, of course, Heat 1 goes 15, 12, 9, 8, 7, 4, all the way down to P11 getting 1 point. And when it comes to the feature race, it's 25, 23, 21, 19, 17 down in increments of 2 before you get to increments of 1 from P9, P8 downwards, all the way to P15, getting themselves, or P18, sorry, getting themselves a lonely 1 point. So, 3 races, effectively adding on 15 more points for the race winner here today. And it's what is a very, very tight championship, a very, very tight circuit as well here at Zolder. This qualifying session could mean quite a lot.
Yeah, it definitely can. And Zolder's a very interesting one to try. This racetrack is some people's Marmite. They love it or they hate it. It's got, of course, 3 chicanes in it. 2 of them are exceedingly difficult. One of them is not so bad, running out through turns 10, which is down in Jackie Itbot. That's not a bad chicane, but Klein chicane and the chicane after Butte and in between turn 7 is quite a difficult one. So I think all in all, there's a lot of work that these guys are going to have to put into it. And as I say, some people love this circuit and some people don't. And it's going to be interesting which way these guys are going to go.
For the most part, I've seen a lot of happy faces. I can see Kimandre Bjorklund saying he loves Zolder, Dan Mold saying he loves Zolder, Fraser Geraghty loving Zolder. So a lot of people there clearly happy that this is the final circuit. Quite an underrated track, in all honesty, is Zolder. Obviously, when it comes to Belgian circuits, everyone thinks, ooh, Spa. But you want to take some touring cars around, Clio's round, MX-5s round. You're not going to go to Spa, are you, if you want to go to Belgium? You're going to come right here, Zolder. A track that I first became acclimatized to on ACC is actually my most viewed video on my YouTube channel, funnily enough. Was a track guide I did. If you want to hear Baby Zach's commentary voice, go and watch that video because it's funny to look back on now. At the time, I thought, wow, I'm really good at this. Now looking back, I cringe at myself. So if you want to laugh, go and watch that.
Dude, I found my first ever commentary from Silverstone back along right at the beginning, and I literally sounded like I was sat in the toilet. It was echoing. It was absolutely horrendous. I had an overlay that I found on the internet somewhere doing something. It was just shocking, to be honest. And I sit back now and think, wow, did people actually like that enough that I've ended up doing it full time?
I know. That's what I think. I was having a chat. I just done a broadcast yesterday, and I was having a chat with one of the drivers because he sort of knew me from stuff that I've done before, and obviously said how nice it is that I'm moving upwards and things. And I said, mate, you should have heard me when I first started. And I sent him the broadcast. And goodness me, you said you sounded like you were in a toilet. My first broadcast when I was on a PS4. And for those familiar with PlayStations, the fan gets ridiculously loud the older they get. So you just had me. Anytime there was quiet, it was just the fan whirring in the background, which, wasn't a lot of fun. Looking back on it, I think those people that I contacted for help, those people that I asked for gigs, what did they see in me back then to warrant giving me assistance? Why am I in this position? Like, no. Yeah. Because, there's a lot. But the progress that we've made is fantastic. And it's led to this wonderful point right here. And, our commentary's going quite well. Let's put it that way. Dan Mould at the moment topping the timing tower in this qualifying session, just over half of it left to go. However, that's of course subject to change. 38.0 is the time to be. Adam Delmont, 4 tenths off the pace. That is not where he wants to be on a day like today.
No. He needs to be higher up. But I'm really interested to see how this AMS is going to play out, right? And the reason I'm interested in it is at the moment, Crowther is in front of Gibbons, who's in front of Aylett, who's in front of Peoples, and in front of Akers. Crowther is in the sister team to Stuart Gibbons. So, if Gibbons gets a jump on Crowther, okay, Dan Peoples is in to spoil the party, but Crowther can still play a major role in this, holding up Gibbons, because it's a Blade Design Sim Race Esports battle between Van Kampen if he stays where he is, Dan Peoples if he stays where he is. We've got Chris van der Linden, who's not got a time yet as well. Cooper Akers, Billy Mole, they've still not got times. So the AMS is a really interesting fight, and I think one that we're going to need to keep an eye on. Kim Andre Bjortland's just taken pole in the pros, so that's got Delmont above Mould. Delmont's managed to jump Mould as well, so there's a lot going on in this qualifying session here, Mr. Sweeney.
There very much is, and to be fair, no better time than today for us to enjoy Kim Andre Bjorkland. What a lap time for him to put him up there on provisional pole. And that's the thing about Zolder, so technical, as we say, so many chicanes. Particularly, I will say, probably the biggest place you can gain time is the Kleiner chicane. Of course, that left-right going through turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 is obviously the curbs on the inside are huge. And the quickest way through that corner is either completely off them or all over them. And there's no way in between. Either you touch them a little bit and you're off the road, you touch them not enough and you're off the road, but also you touch them too much but not completely, and again, you're off the road. It's either you steer completely clear of them or you absolutely take a huge bite out of them and launch yourself over the top of the curbs. That's the way I've always sort of found the way through. And with it being such fine margins, it means that the lap you nail them very easily, you can find yourself sort of 2.5 tenths up.
Yeah, easily. It reminds me very much so of the turn 5 down the hill at Road Atlanta, where you either take all of it on the right hand side of the curb, you've got to get all 4 tyres up on there, or you take none of it. Because if you half-hearted it, you're going to be in trouble. We've seen so many people end up on the left-hand side at Road Atlanta. And this is the same kind of thing. They've got to make sure they're either taking it all or you take none. You try and half-heart it, it's going to lead into a slowdown, it's going to lead into problems, and then you're going to be forever battling it out. If these two finish where they are at the moment, Mr. JB and Mr. McNally, this is going to be a scrap and a half in the team standings, because both of these guys are obviously in the SRL and the SRL Next Gen team, and they're not very far apart. They're only 11 points apart in the pro team standings. So all to play for here. Still all championships up for grabs, aren't they? And I think to come into the final round, the final season, or the final ever time, that for the foreseeable future you're going to see the TCRs on JPB, which is a really shame, because I do love these cars, but they're just not getting love whatsoever. I think that it's going to be absolutely epic.
Yeah, me too. I think these guys, as passionate as they are, obviously Dan Mould, back in the SRL days, a lot of these guys from obviously back in the SRL days and stuff, they have a lot of love for touring cars. A lot of their iRacing career as such has sort of spanned in touring cars. That's not to say there aren't other touring car championships out there, but when it comes to JPB, obviously the ground level community that everyone of course knows and love out there on circuit, it's potentially going to be the last time they're in some high level front wheel drive machinery. Then again, the Clios aren't really far off, so if front wheel drive is your taste, which good for some, I suppose. Jump yourself into the Clios. If not, you want some sports car racing, get yourself into, I believe, the first open wheel championship that JPB have done. Yeah, get yourself involved in that. But yeah, this is going to be a barnstorming finish. Bjorklund, Mould, Delmont and McNally, the top 4, with John Brown there as well. So yeah, the pro top 5 are, definitely bringing the heat. And with 3 of them so far, today, three heats today, plenty of opportunity for some good racing.
Yeah, I think it will be good racing anyway. But it's got the opportunity to be good racing up and down the field. That's the thing, I think. That there's racing everywhere on the track, and it's going to be in the pros. It's going to be in the pro teams. It's going to be in the AMS team, and they're going to be relentless. So please, 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 if you are watching this at home, do not be surprised if we get it wrong on the scores, because, well, let's just say it's probably likely to happen.
You've got Zach Sweeney and James Parfitt in the commentary booth.
Do
your own maths. Yeah. Do your own, basically, is what I'm going to recommend, because I've got my pen and my notepad right in front of me. I'm going to be doing my best, but no guarantees. If we had Ewan O'Leary, maybe trust it a little bit. Yeah, that man is ridiculously good.
He's got spreadsheets for everything. And he does so well and they're not exactly complicated spreadsheets either, but they're just more complicated than I could probably ever produce, even though it's just this plus this equals this, and they take off chop scores. It's a very fancy sheet, to be fair.
The biggest thing I've always envied of Ewan O'Leary is the fact he's just on a laptop. Like, how? Like, I've got 2 screens and I still can't fit everything I want. Because I love having everything in a place. I hate having to go and look while I'm speaking. But he's just there, like, on his laptop. He'll pull up something, he'll look something up, or he'll just have it in memory. Yeah, I envy Ewan O'Leary. He's a very good commentator. So yeah, I'll stop fanboying.
Yeah, well, you know, give him an apple and tell him you love him.
No, tell you what, speaking of apples to fan, but when I did Formula E and I worked with Scott Mansell, obviously I was like, oh my God, it's Scott Mansell, obviously driver 61, for those who don't know his name or whatever.
No.
Do you not know him? Oh.
No, I think this is the misunderstanding where people approach me and go, do you know so-and-so, so-and-so? And I'm like, no.
He's got like over 1 million subs on YouTube, but it's fine. I was fanboy. I was like, oh my god, I had to work with Scott Mansell. And I was like, you know, when we went for lunch and stuff, he was revising all the drivers' names and whatever. I was like, do you want anything? He was like, yeah, can you get me an apple, please? I was like, absolutely, mate. No worries.
Oh my god.
So I got him an apple, and he ate the apple that I got him.
No.
So,
I think I very much... It's like people message me. It's really quite funny, actually, because people will message me and go, oh, have you seen what they're doing? I'm like, no. Have you seen what they're doing? I'm like, no. You know what I mean? It's like, no. I've got too much to concentrate on other people. So, no, I haven't, to be blatantly honest. So, no, sorry, Scott, if you are listening or know of us. Unfortunately, dear sir, I don't know who you are. So, no offence, of course, on that one. But there we go, as we're coming to the end of qualifying.
Yeah, we are 30 seconds on the clock and no one out on circuit. So Kim-Anja Bjorklund actually being the one to take to the top step in qualifying, albeit very, very close. Just over a tenth of a second between P1 and P3. That is remarkable stuff in that fight for the championship. No bonus points for pole position, but track position here at Zolder is going to be vital. We'll bring up the grid, of course, as soon as we can before we head into 15 minutes of race number 1. But Kim-Anja Bjorklund, I mean, I know he said he loves Zolder, but that is a sensational lap time.
Yeah, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but there is actually 1 point for pole position.
Is there?
For rush hour qualifying, yes.
No, that's fine. Sweet. +1 for good old KAB. That's fine. No, that's even better because I can give him a point. And what that does do is it takes a point away from Mould and Delmont. There is the grid, by the way. Kim-Anja Bjorklund, who gets a point for pole. Dan Mould will join him on the front row ahead of Delmont and Brown in P3 and 4. Adam McNally joins Dan Paples, getting the AM pole position. Don't know if they get a point as well. There in P6. No. Alan McCain from Deck Crowther, P7 and P8, ahead of Stuart Gibbons and Stephen Van Kampen at the round off the top 10. Billy Moltke breakers on one of the most important days for his championship, rounds off in row number 6. And then, of course, beyond that, still a couple more drivers to go. Fraser Geraghty, Kev Aylett, Chris Barnes and Chris van der Linde, the 16th and final driver to take to the grid here today. about to get ourselves underway in Zolder. And, well, who's coming out on top?
Bjorkland could be up for spoiling the party. So we'll have to see there how he does. I'm wondering if he can spoil the party or if he won't. But I think this rundown through 1 and coming through 2 is going to be the most important corners of some of these drivers.
Yeah, they are going to set the tone of the race, I think. We're just waiting for Mould, McCain, Eilert and Van der Linde to get themselves on the grid. But yeah, obviously with how difficult it can be to overtake here at Zolder, getting a punchy start is going to not define your race, but definitely give you a stepping stone that's very good going forwards. While everything is chaotic, while everything is nice and packed up, make sure you are making the most of all the carnage, chaos, and everything around. I think we've got 7 seconds before the grid is complete. Alan McCain still a vacant grid spot for him there, but whether or not he will take to the start, we don't know quite yet. Would be nice, of course, if he does. But there we go. I think we are ready to go. 5 red lights will come on. Creamandre Bjorkland, Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, John Brown the front 2 rows. Round 11 of the JPB TCR European Cup. The final race 1 of the season is up and running here in Belgium. Great start from P3 for Adam Delmont, already pulling alongside Dan Mould, trying to get himself into turn number 1. Creamandre Bjorkland holding a firm lead, trying to go the long way around though and dance his way through the championship leader of Dan Mould. Now has the sights on the inside for turn number 2. I think he might well just be able to pull that off, getting very dicey as there goes Adam Delmont trying to fight his way through, not quite close enough. McNally versus Brown in that fight for 5th as they run their way towards the end of Sector 1. It's Dan Mould from Bjorkland who's forced wide.
Yeah, Bjorkland was on the wrong line going into turn 1, which then put him on the wrong line going into turn 2. That's Adam McNally going down the order, and unfortunately for him, for Creamandre Bjorkland, it was just down, down, down. That's all that happened. He was on the wrong line for both corners and just couldn't make it stick. He needed to be on the outside for 1, for the inside for 2, for the inside for 3, and he had none of it. Unfortunately, Delmont and Mould have got through. In the arms is Peoples in front of Crowther, in front of Gibbons, so that's going to be the main situation for them, and it looks like we may have just lost. Was that Eilert who was getting it all a little bit Pete-Tong? No, it was Billy Mole who has just lost it there, and Adam McNally going back through. But at the moment, Dan Mould, Adam Delmont leading the way for the final opening lap on turn 8.
Yeah, nicely done from Dan Mould, securing a very good foothold in this race. Like we say, making the most of the start. Bjorkland not the best, but he'll pick himself back up and he'll find his way towards the top in no time, I'm sure. Adam Delmont, though, of course, usually renowned for being in front for most of the race, losing it at the end. Well, today he's going to be hoping to do the exact opposite and take a step closer to the championship.
Damn you, Mr. Sweeney.
What? It's my last opportunity to rinse him. I'm making the most of it.
I know, but lay off, man. Poor guy.
No.
You get down there and race and see how you go. I'm expected to see you on Friday nights for the Soggy Bottom Championship, bro.
Maybe, I think.
That'd be a no to everybody that's at home watching the final TCR 3 races here at Zolder. We are letting them go. We've had a breakup, and the TCRs are free to leave. Gibbo, where are you going? And that you don't want to be doing for Stuart Gibbons, who has lost places to Akers, Eilert, Crowther and Peoples, and he's got down in Mole, who's just got a massive slowdown for Gibbo, and unfortunately he is right in the doo-doo now, so he's going to have to get on with it a bit at the moment. Cooper Akers, Kev Eilert side by side as well on their run down into the I'm not really sure what to call this, 6 and 7 chicane, I guess, because 6 is on the run round the corner, 7 is this one, so technically it could be 6A and 6B.
No, absolutely not.
Well, you see what I mean, though, right? Because it goes down Butte and then comes into the chicane, but then goes into 7, which is Tetrabrot, isn't it? Or Telemann, that one.
Yeah, no, I dislike the 6A, 6B American corner numbering systems. They just don't know how to count. Sorry to all the Americans. Sorry to Cooper Akers, of course, out there. But no, it's the way they number their corner, like at Sonoma. Right,
oh,
Sonoma
ridiculous.
is the prime example of how the Americans could not name their corners properly. It's no. Anyway, before I get myself riled up and cancelled by Cooper Akers, we'll focus on the
Don't
racing.
you worry about it,
hand.
mate. If you have a look at VIR recently, if you go to the Grand Course, you've got 6A, 6B, 6C, 7A, 7B, 7D.
I'm all right.
So just to make you aware, yeah, it doesn't get any easier the more American courses you cover here once more. But Mold, Dalmont, Bjorklund running away with it, and he's doing a mighty good job in the process. Peoples is opened up to Crowther, Mole, Vanderlyn, Gibbons all the way down the back with Chris Barnes battling it out. So yeah, Gibbo didn't need this going into the final round.
No, he did not, and is looking not very strong. Of course, coming into today on of course 253, 9 points clear of Cooper Acres. So we will see as to what the gap is relative to everyone else post race 1, race 2. It'll then all come down to race number 3. I was trying to do some quick maths on the fly. Again, as we say, disclaimer that is probably wrong. Dalmont, Bjorklund, still only half a second between the pair of them as we tick ourselves over to just 10 minutes remaining in this race. And that's the thing with Zolder. As good of a circuit as it is, you get racing like this, where they are just half a second apart, and there's not really much they can do unless there's a mistake.
No, they can't. That's the thing with certain circuits, right? You touched on it earlier on when we were talking about Belgium circuits, and you said Spa. I do not, and I loathe anybody who can tell me it's a good idea to stick Clios at Spa or Formula Fords at Spa or something like that. And people don't quite understand how us as commentators get sick of a certain racetrack. And when you're commentating and the leagues are following officials like the Radical Race Series, for instance, the Radical official schedule this season is literally every track that has stood out or has been used previously as Cooper Acres and Billy Mole. A go! No! Cooper didn't need that! He did not need that! Oh, Cooper and Billy. Ouch.
And out, actually, Cooper Acres. Wow. So, from P2 in the championship, that is going to be a huge hindrance. Of course, still got P2 in race 2 and race 3 to go. What has happened is the car on the outside, up on the curb. Doink.
No, Mr. Sweeney, there was a big old gap between the two cars, unfortunately.
Let's pretend. Let's make.
I'm not going to pretend. It's an issue that is still not 100% resolved. I know we're not supposed to mention it or talk about it or whatever, but everybody, the realization really does know that the thing that is the wonderful world of netcode within iRacing is real. It's not there, and by us not talking about it isn't going to change the situation. It is still there, and unfortunately that was a case of netcode between the two, and that was the end result. But then again, Cooper Acres is in the US and Billy Mole is in Australia. That would just about sum it up, as Chris van der Linden, Alan McCain and Gibbo are going 3 wide down into turn 1. Oh, McCain, be careful. Gibbo's running around the outside. He's going to get past van der Linden there, but back up front, Dalmont at Mold still battling it out. And going back to the calendar for the Radicals, as we were talking about just really quickly earlier on, every favoured circuit possible on the calendar: Laguna, Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Imola, Bathurst, Interlagos, Canadian Tire, Barber, Sebring, Road America. Could they have picked any more of the tracks that are just gets to the point for commentators, Zach, as well, where we just sit back and go, please pick something else. Please, for the love of God, pick something else.
Yeah, it's very uniform when it comes to
do you know that
choices.
I had this discussion with somebody who was involved in picking the racetracks for that particular series, and it was, they're not, the track list I gave him, it was like 75% of them, James, are not very favoured tracks. I said, why? Because they're different. He said, well, yeah, because people just don't get used to running them. Yeah, I don't want to do 12 weeks and then see Sebring on there, and then go into the next 12 and see Sebring again, and then the next 12 and see Sebring again, and see Sebring again, and Spa again, and Road Atlanta again, Road America again, and all the favourite normal courses again and again and again and again and again. And that is why on JPB we pick our own circuits, because I do not like following officials. It drives me absolutely insane because it is just the same track over and over and over again.
Yes. Thankfully, I'm just a commentator, and I can give my opinions on said calendars if/when they come up. And sometimes I try to be nice, as to obviously maintain relations and not burn bridges. Other times,
no. In other words, you're just trying to. The thing is, that's an interesting comment that you've made. Not burn bridges. For me, it's all about not being gagged on the truth. I think that's the situation.
See, with you, I know full well I make you a lot of money. I know you can't get rid of me, so I'll just say what I like. And if I hate a calendar,
Mr. Sweeney.
Well, yeah, obviously.
You have noticed there's been an influx of commentators into JPB, all vying for your job, right? So
yeah, but they're not going to get my job, are they, James?
You know, you've got to keep it a little bit sensible. Mould and Dalmont battling down on the run down into turn 8. There's got some exceptionally long name that I cannot pronounce. However, I have just looked on Circuit Info that Chicane is the Villeneuve chicane between Butte and turn 7. So it has actually got a name.
I'm going to go with Terlemenbocht.
That's the one. You go for that. You speak your truth. Go for it.
I will. I'm not going to be gagged on the truth, Mr. James Parfitt.
No. Not 100% free on saying the truth either, Mr. Sweeney, because we don't want to get yourself in trouble.
This industry, we know our stances on this industry, and it's all about making friends, shaking hands, and brown nosing a little bit.
And kissing butts. And unfortunately, they don't put James Parfitt into that category.
No. Media training, I think, is sometimes what you need, Mr. James Parfitt.
Dude, maybe. Well, you could be right. I don't know. I just do my own thing, and then that's why you ask me, do I know this person? I'm like, no, but does that person know me? Yes. Oh, good. Well, I don't know who they are. As Fraser Gary and Billy Mole. Billy, stay out there, dear sir. Stay out there, because he is running alongside you. Fraser's coming up the inside into turn 4. Oh, dearie me. I'm going to get myself in trouble, I swear, one day.
Oh, more than you already have. Yeah, you've caused enough ruckus in the sim racing community. Not going to lie, Mr. James Parfitt. Fraser Garrity, Billy Mole.
Like me for my ability, not for my opinions. That's what I say.
I think they're more likely to like you on your opinions.
Oh, I don't. Exactly. You and I both know I don't care. Right, everybody who knows me knows that I'm very black and white. I am not grey. So if you want to be grey with me, then go down the road and do it with somebody else. You want to speak freely and black and white and discuss things, that's fine. Reach out and we'll have a chat. I can't be dealing with half-hearted, yes, they say this to your face, and then they say something completely different behind your back. That is not me, and Mr. Rob Williams will know that. He has known me for a long time right now, and I've always spoken freely. So there we go. Great racing going on as Damo has just set the fastest lap of the race. They're going to have one-on-one more here before we get on to the closing of the first 15 minutes. Still two more to go. Here's that. We're going to be doing math in a very short while, so bear with us here once again, please, guys, because we will have to do some math to make sure we stay on top of the standings. We'll try, and Dan Lewis, I believe, is also here watching live to try and keep on top of the standings with us as well. So there we go. Let's hope and see. Between the three of us, I'm sure some of us can get this right.
But yeah, maybe. Who knows? We'll find out. The answer is probably going to be somewhere in the middle of all of our answers. So take it as a rough estimate. And if either one of us get the same answers as the other person, take that as gospel. Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, Kim Anjo Bjorklund. No advancements between any of them. As things stand, Dan Mould is going to be stretching his advantage to 9 points in the championship ahead of Delmont, plus the fastest lap point. And that's going to be a very tough ask for Adam Delmont to close with the final 2 rounds on offer. So for Delmont and his championship, at some point, he's got to push the button and he's got to go for it, because either he leaves this race with a 3-point deficit or a 9-point deficit, and it all depends on whether or not he can find his way past Dan Mould.
Yeah, and he hasn't got long. He's just... That is going to be so close. They literally passed with 2 seconds to remain. If Mold backs off for 2 seconds, this is the last lap. If he doesn't, then we might just about make one more. 138, they crossed it on 141. So we'll see here. Dan Lewis is going to try and keep us updated after the scores. Rob Williams, haha, you can do maths. Yes, I can. Thank you very much. I did used to work in a school, but then again, it was a junior school, so I didn't have to go much past my 12 times table. That was about it. So there we go. Billy Mole is fighting it out. Gibbo, you need to keep that car on track here, sir, because you are struggling to get yourself any decent points out of race one, mate. I've got to be honest, I do love you, Stuart, but you've got to try and keep that car on track for race two and get some big old points over the likes of Peoples, over the likes of Alet, over the likes of Akers, who he will beat. Akers is out there, mind you, and a good job he is, because he knows he's got that 75% rule to play with, and which means they've got to complete 75% of the race length to score points, so he needs to be there. And what do you mean I could do maths? Can you do maths, Mr. Williams? Can you do maths? Debatable.
Well, I won't indulge in your little lover's quarrel. Be interesting to see whether this is going to be the last lap or not. 22 on the clock, and only 2 corners left to go.
It's going to be mightily close.
Was the white flag waved last time by?
No, I did not see it at all.
Let's find out. 10 seconds on the clock. Are they going to be able to put their foot to the floor and get the run to the line? I think they are going to make it. Last lap then. Adam Dunmont's going to be relieved. Dan Mold is going to be terrified.
Dunmont's got fastest lap.
He has.
Ooh. Dan Mold's got to do something on this lap. Otherwise that point goes to Delmont, which is going to hopefully hold him off. Billy Moll has had a little bit of a ta-ta-ta with hopefully no one. But I've got a funny feeling it could be somebody. And that, I believe, in front is Mr. Chris Barnes. Barnes goes on the defence. Whoa! Oh! That's either braking really early for Chris or a missed braking point from Billy Mole.
Yeah, not entirely sure, but into the pit lane goes Billy Mole, and that's a shame, of course, for him. Dan Mold, Adam Delmont breaking free from the pole sitter of Kim Andrew Bjorklund. Each corner that goes past is one less opportunity for Adam Delmont. He has to find somewhere to launch this move.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's got that gap he's got the gap that should be technically free, because obviously he's 15 and 12. At the moment, it's only 15 and it's 15 and 13 because Delmont's got the fastest lap. So he's only 2 points out. So we'll keep an eye on as it goes here, but I've got a funny feeling it is going to be Dan Mold this time around.
I think so too. With just 2 corners left to go, of course, the final chicane. I don't think Adam Delmont is quite close enough in order to launch the move. With everything on the line in terms of the championship, he gives it a half-hearted look. Race number 1 then is going to go the way of Dan Mold, who powers his way towards the line, and hopefully for him, powers his way towards championship glory. Flash the headlights from all 3 of them. Mold victorious in race 1. Delmont from Bjorklund 2nd and 3rd. So looking very, very good indeed for their respective championship hunts. Dan Paples will be the one in the AMS, losing out to Van Kampen right at the end of this race. There in P6 overall, making some good stead for that AM championship.
Yeah, Peoples is going to get 15 points. Alet is going to get only 9. Akers will finish in 8th place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will give him 4. And Gibbo will finish in 4th place. So that will give him 8. So I'm going to just do math. You carry on for a minute. I've got Adam Dalmon at 337. Mold at 337. Dalmon on 330.
So as things stand, yeah, Mold will be 337 from 330. Yeah, so we're right in that regard. Also have to update the AM scores as well, but we'll run that through.
I've got Gibbo on 261, Peoples on 249, Akers on 248, and Alet on 247.
Perfect. Sweet. So there we go. We're trying to stay on top of everything, ladies and gentlemen. We will update you, of course, with everything.
I'd hurry up on this one, Zach. They're getting on the grid.
Yeah, Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, Kim Bjorklund, John Brown, Van Camp in the top 5 from Paples, Crowther and Aylett, the top 3 in the AMS. Then comes McNally, Garrity, Gibbons, Barnes and McCain, Van der Linden and Billy Moult, Cooper Akers, the top 16. Dan Paples on pole for race 2.
Yeah, we've got that reverse grid, haven't we? So he's benefited from the top 6 reverse, and that is the... Where is it? There's the grid for race 2, Zach.
There it is. Dan Paples on pole, Van Kampen, Brown, Bjorklund, Delmont and Mould, the top 6 that were reversed. Then comes Derek Crowther and Kev Aylett, keeping each other company on row 4. McNally from Garrity to round off the top 10. Stuart Gibbons, Chris Barnes, the first 6 rows, and we are up and underway in race 2. Dan Paples, good launch from pole position to try and solidify things. Of course, needs a very sensational victory here today. There, of course, he's going into turn number 1 looking very, very strong. A little bit of carnage in the background as well as they all try and settle their way into this race. Delmont needs to be ahead of Dan Mould in this race.
Well, Delmont is ahead of Dan Mould in this race. Bjorklund's lost 2 again off the start. He cannot get that Audi off the start. Peoples has done a great job. Peoples knows he needs to run. How important is Van Kampen at this moment? He's very, 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 very important for Dan Peoples to get that breakaway. But if Van Kampen don't hold on like he hasn't held on, the hard-flying JB, Dan Mould, Kim Bjorklund and Delmont, who unfortunately has now lost 2 places to Bjorklund and also Mould, as I'm trying to find where that one actually happened. Well, that's where Dan Mould passed Delmont again on the gravel, and unfortunately for Delmont, he has lost that position there once more. Aylett's gone. Aylett is facing completely the wrong way, so that's nice. I'm not quite sure how Kev ended up there. They're going in through Butte. Is this going to be a touch? Nope. He is going to be on his own coming through the Villeneuve chicane.
Yeah, easily done. Huge news for the championship. Of course, for Aylett, 15 points back coming into this. And now, of course, with things changing constantly, that's not going to be assisting his run at all. And needs to be in the top 15, of course, going into race 3 to benefit from reverse grid pole position. And he's got a good old ways in order to get after that. Dan Paples leads the first lap then from Brown, Van Kampen and Mould. Bjorklund rounds off the top 5 ahead of Adam Delmont, who seems to be struggling. There is Mould looking on
JB!
the inside of Sim Race Sweden. And oh my goodness me, John Brown round.
Oh, JB went round, and unfortunately JB was in a position to play with the big boys then. He had almost been able to stop Adam Delmont behind him, and behind that, did you see Mr. McNally? He was going around that corner flat out sideways at the moment. So both of the supporting acts here in the teams of JB and McNally aren't quite anywhere to be seen in conjunction with Mould and Delmont. So the teams are well spread currently, should we say?
Yes. So let's see, obviously Dan Lewis dealing with all the points, hopefully behind the scenes accurately.
He's trying. I've got some form of updated point system. He's going to keep me updated as we go along.
Perfect. That takes a lot of stress off of us. Adam Delmont there in P5, looking to the inside of Van Kampen, who himself is attacking Bjorklund going into the hairpin at the back end of the circuit. Delmont not quite able to find a way through. Bjorklund able to hold firm in P3 with Van Kampen trying to accelerate and get that drag race towards the final chicane in his pocket. Adam Delmont doesn't really know which way to go with things. Instead going to commit to go the outside, but I don't quite think that's going to work for him. The Sim Race Sweden Honda able to edge himself ahead. Wow, it's getting very, very close. Flash the headlights. Some not very happy bunnies out there on the track.
No, Delmont and Van Kampen, he knew Van Kampen was going to defend. He's got a right to defend. This is the problem. Because you're up the front, it does not give you the entitlement to go through. We know how raging Delmont can get. We know I've had to have plenty of conversations with him to chill him out and say, look, dude, you can't keep doing this. But he's got to remember they're here to race and they have the right to race. You can't shackle the drivers just because you want to be up front. It's not a Lightning McQueen free car shootout. Make it work. Make the overtake, buddy, because that's what you've got to do.
Yeah, the true test of skill is right now as to who can rise to the occasion, who can score all those points, and with each passing lap, my confidence turns more and more into Dan Mold. Then again, that was the start of the season because obviously Adam Delmont. Anyway, he's out on track in 5th. But I mean, we've all been there. We've all been frustrated when you want to get on with things, and you know full well that Van Kampen is doing that purely for a 4th place and not necessarily for a championship. Selfishly in your head, it's like, well, come on, mate, get a move on. I'm fighting for a championship. You're fighting for P4. There's a little bit more at stake for me. A bit of a mistake from Van Kampen allows Adam Delmont through, fairly swift passage, and now can set his sights on Kim-Andre Bjorklund with 10 minutes left to go. But I can empathise with the frustration of Delmont because we've been there.
We have, and this up here is not good for this gentleman down there. We'll keep an eye. Don't forget, at the moment he's still going to be scoring points. I've got the updated ones. Gibbo 261, Peoples 249, Akers 248, and Alet 247, which I believe is what we had. And in the pros is Mould, Delmont, Bjorklund, and then JB and Adam McNally. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on it as best as we can here within the JPB community. We've got our resident mathematician in Dan Lewis on it, who's, I've got to give a big shout out. He has done the scores for all the leagues last season. He's doing them for this season as well, and just wow, he's doing it for all of it. How he's going to cope with the NASCAR and the endurance, well, that's a discussion for another time. So yeah, let's see how that one goes.
Best luck to him. Yeah, NASCAR is chaotic at the best of times. 9 minutes left on the clock.
Bjorklund's got to slow down.
Moves his way past, and Bjorklund with a slowdown. Now struggling a little bit under pressure. John Brown picks his way past, as well as one small mistake has unfortunately spelled disaster for Bjorklund. However, it's solace for Adam Delmont, who's moved his way into 3rd place, albeit 3.5 seconds off Mould.
Yeah, but look who's not 3.5 seconds off the person in front. This is where now Dan Peoples is either going to be very, 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 very smart or very, 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 very stupid. He either needs to let Dan Mould go because he knows he's got points in the bag. It's not a continued point system, right? They all get the same points across the Pro and the AM. So if the AM wins, he gets 15. If the Pro wins, he gets 15. He's got a lot of places before he even gets near the next AM. So does he be sensible and let him go through when he does get up to the back of him? Or does he try and fight him and not have that situation?
See, for Peoples, either way, it's a win in the AMs, right? His
go.
goal all season long, though, has been to win a race overall.
It doesn't matter.
But
On the final race of the season, should not put himself into a position that jeopardizes his result and jeopardizes the person around him result. And if he knows he can let Mould go, and if Delmont does catch up, he knows he can afford to let Delmont go, because they've had a little bit of ta-ta-ta this season. You know what I mean? Peoples has been in contact with Mould. I think he's had contact with Delmont as well. So he's got to weigh up at the air of caution. He might want to go out and be number one and say, yay, I won the overall. But you've got Dan Mould, you've got Adam Delmont, all climbing up on you. And regardless of what you think, how good you are, these guys drive TCRs for a living. This is their iRacing bread and butter. This is what they do. This is why they're 6K. This is why they're 3.6K. Not because they're swapping cars from TCRs to GT4s to Endurance. They're doing one car to be sensible. And he has been sensible. And I'm so proud of him.
Dan Peoples doing something right.
Yes.
What?
But
wow.
that's the right thing to do. That's the problem, Zach. There was no reason for him to do anything different.
No,
you might want to win
absolutely
overall,
not.
that's great. But you're not going to gain jack if you're pulling people in behind you. And, I don't know. He had to do it. Well done, Dan. I'm proud of you. Watch this back, mate. Well done.
Now learn how to tie a tie. That's the next step.
Yeah, he's tied. Yeah, and do something with your hair. What's up with all the curly clots you got going on?
The super noodles. I can't say much. I can't say much.
Oh, dear me. Oh, do you know what? Can I dress you up for Halloween, Zach?
What? As what?
Well, I'll give you just dye your hair ginger and you can go as Annie.
Wow, that's nice. Thank you. I wish I was adopted by a billionaire. That would make my life so much better. I wouldn't have to
You might want to watch the original, Mum. You're probably watching the remake.
No, I've watched both. Thank you.
Oh, have you? You would make a good Annie.
I know.
Thanks for being offensive, James. You'd make a good one. Yeah, I know I would.
Well, that's the best way to be. Mate, I've been called a lot of things. Don't you worry. All right, I'm thick-skinned. I've been called Sideshow Bob, and of course, I haven't watched The Simpsons, so I didn't know who that was.
Oh, okay.
And so I Googled it right in front of them, and I was like, oh.
Rude.
That's not very nice, is it? Obviously, I wasn't quite as diplomatic as that's not very nice. But it was all funny games anyway.
That's as diplomatic as he's going to be on a broadcast here. Stephen Van Campen, John Brown, Kim J. Fiorton, Fraser Garrity, Deck Craver and Adam McNally are all in this group. Gibbo is just 2.6 seconds back, but he's ahead of the people he needs to be. He's ahead of Akers. He's ahead of Aylett. So he's ahead of who he needs to be ahead of, apart from Dan Peoples, who's up the road. But Adam Dalmont now is 4.3 seconds back, unfortunately. And Stephen Van Campen is in third in pros with JB, Bjortland, Garrity and McNally closely behind him here as we're going into that lap 7 mark. We reckon it should be 2 more. They just got over the line, but it really does depend on what Peoples' lap times has been over the first 3 laps in conjunction with what Mould and Dalmont's lap times were over race 1.
Yeah, exactly. 4 minutes left to go on the clock. Not a lot of time left for things to change. Dalmont seems fairly safe in that second place in the pros, and that's all that really matters. Again, it's another gain in points. And the thing is that the points differential for P1 and P2 in race 3 is actually less than the points differential in sort of races 1 and 2. So for Dalmont, really, he would have wanted to win race 1 and 2 and maybe lose race 3, as opposed to if he even does succeed in race 3, it's going to be a little bit less beneficial for him. So he's going to be riding on a miracle going into that final race of the season.
Yeah, you can see we're looking through the roll bar from Van Campen back to JB at the moment. JB has got Bjorkland, that's the roll bar out of the Audi there, and then Fraser Garrity has got Anna McNally further back as we look through the roll bar of the Honda. So yeah, these guys are very close. And unfortunately for Stuart Gibbo, Cooper Akers has just cleared him. So Gibbo needs to try and stay within touching distance of him if he can. But let's see here as Adam Dalmont seems to be just nearly closing in, but not close enough, I don't feel, as there's going to be this one and possibly one more, Zach, I think.
I think we are just going to scrape it. Yeah, this is definitely the penultimate lap. They are going to finish this one. They won't quite have time to squeeze another one in. So for Mould, it's just about consolidating his position in this one. Paples as well, consolidating his position in P1 in the AMS. Of course, things still subject to change. Don't get me wrong, things can still go wrong. Under normal circumstances, it doesn't look like much is going to be shifting. Very nip and tuck, though, as Van Campen is doing his best to keep that P3 in the pros.
Yeah, he's hanging on like an absolute trooper, is the man himself. He's trying as best as possible, is the Dutchman, but especially when he's got a looming Englishman, a looming Norwegian, Fraser Garrity, which I'm sure he's just English, and Adam McNally is English. Fraser will probably tell me he's Irish or something now, but I'm sure he's English as we're coming down into the final chicane of Jackie Hitpot once more, and Van Campen still holding on. It's just showing how difficult it is to overtake here, isn't it? This circuit with these cars being so close together, and yet nobody has made an overtake for a couple of laps.
Yeah, it's so difficult and so tight, so twisty, which means qualifying and track position is so much more important. It's raceable, there are overtakes to be had, but it's tricky and you have to set them up. It's such a methodical process. It's not an impulsive thing, say like at Monza, where you can just sit in the slipstream and go for a move whenever you like. At Zolder, you have to be so meticulous with it. You have to set it up, bait a mistake out, send a move, send them in deep, do something different to try and, disrupt the equilibrium, I suppose, because that is all it is right now. everyone doing the same thing, no one making a mistake, and there's no opportunities to be had.
But nobody, I don't think the problem with that is nobody can afford to make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? These guys can't afford to make mistakes. They've got to be fully on it when they're on it, because if they make mistakes, if Van Kampen makes a mistake, he goes down 5 places. He's coming back. Rejoin is I'm sure it's going to be up for debate. I'm sure that Van Kampen rejoin will be up for debate, and JB will probably put that in. Oh, can't close his nose off there, sir. The car ain't Harry Potter. He cannot evaporate, young sir, if he's on your inside. And that is a result of either not listening to what the spotter is telling you or trying to squeeze a gap on a car that is still physically alongside you. And we all know what I feel about alongside. His front tyres were right alongside his rear tyres. So that for me is alongside.
At the end of the day, he wouldn't have spun if he wasn't alongside. That's not how physics works. But yeah, on to the final lap of this race. I think they did just about manage to scrape another one in. Dan Mould there, then leading on to the final lap. I think it was definitely very, very close there.
Yeah, it was very close. They're literally 0, and Dan Mould's on his way up through the Klein chicane. Dan Peoples has let Dan through. Again, well done, Dan. I'm proud of you. Kim-Andre Bjorkland and Anna McNally. McNally is in front of JB, which is vitally important in the Teams Championship. So I've got a funny feeling me and you do not need to worry too much about the math, because Dan Lewis is on it in the TCR standings Europe as well, Zach. So although we'd love to have the results first hand, we don't. If we do get it wrong, Dan Lewis is in the background going, "I've got you, boys. I've got them."
Yes, thank you. Supporting the boys. It's Dan Lewis behind the scenes. Really do appreciate it, and yeah, it makes my life a lot easier. Because I'm trying to stay on top of it, but obviously talking, writing, mathing, yeah, not the most easy thing to be doing. Dan Mould is now entering the final couple of corners. John Brown versus Fraser Geraghty. That's the fight for 6th place. But out of the final corner, Dan Mould once again powering himself towards championship glory. Another victory this evening sets him up on a course that could well make him indestructible for race 3. Dan Mould victorious then for race number 2 of 3 here at Zolder. Adam Delmont then across the line as well, with Dan Paples victorious in the AMS. He's looking very
He's
slow.
Yeah, ooh.
Is he going to win?
He has taken the AM victory only just, but I am wondering whether or not he's completely puffed or how close he was for fuel there, but that was very, very close. Right, so Dan Mould taking 15 in the fastest lap. Delmont taking 12, so 2, 4, 3 going in there. 7 is 14, carrying 1 is only 13, 3, 4, 5. Mould on 3-5-3, Delmont on 3-4-2. I've got going into the final one for that. And then People's got 15. Quick maths, Zach. Come on, quick maths. But here's the results. Oh, no, we're just waiting for a few more to get over the line. Sorry. As I carry on doing my maths.
Absolutely no problem. As I have it, it's Mould is 11 points ahead of Delmont in the Pro Championship. In the AMS, Paples has been able to gain 30 points. Of course, he was 19 points back on Gibbons, who's been able to gain 16. So he's gained 14. Needs a further 5 to tip Gibbons. Akers has scored 13 points this evening, which, of course, nips his total up a little bit higher. When it's so close, there's too many variables. We'll run you through the results anyway. Dan Mould, Adam Delmont, Kim-Andre Bjorkland, the podium, ahead of Adam McNally and John Brown in 4th and 5th. Fraser Geraghty rounds off the top 6. Then comes the AM contingent. Paples from Crowther and Akers, the top 3. From Stuart Gibbons and Chris Barnes, the top 5. Stephen Van Kampen ahead of Kev Aylett, Billy Mole and Van der Linde, the reverse grid pole position driver for the final race of the championship. And Alan McCain, a lonely and unfortunate P16 for him after just about finishing on the lead lap.
Oh, so, Dan Lewis, you superstar. Right. I've got, well, Dan Lewis has posted, our mathematician there, our resident Carol Vorderman. I don't know of a man mathematician, so sorry, Dan. Dan Mold's on 353, Dalmont's on 242. Okay? In the AMS, Gibbo's on 269, Peoples is on 264, Akers is on 257, and Ailit's on 253. So that's how close we are going into the final soiree here, as we're in a little bit of a warm-up currently. So, yeah, a lot happening. And thank you, Dan Lewis. That's all I can say. I need to send you some flowers or something, because you've been absolutely amazing throughout this series, to be honest.
He has, yes. Let's put it that way. I'm just going to write that down, and that's going to be so much easier than what I've currently got. When it comes to...
Did you get it wrong?
No, I didn't get it wrong. It just involved a lot more writing now than just having the order as it is and now doing the plus and minuses of race 3. Because that was my... I wasn't going off the totals, I was going off the relative gains. So that would have involved a little bit extra mass at the end. But now I've got the positions as they are now, I can just do a single race plus and minus. That's going to make it so much easier. Thank you, Dan Lewis. You absolute top don. So we've got Akers there, P3. He is 257. Then, of course, we've got Kev Aylett, who's on 253. So still fairly close, in fairness. Deck Crowther then is going to be on 231.
Yeah, I think Deck's out of it.
Deck is, because there's only 25 on offer.
I wouldn't worry about Deck. I'd concentrate on the people, Gibbons and Akers.
So we've got +5 Gibbons and Paples. So Paples needs to win with Gibbons in P4 or lower to win the championship.
Okay.
Or he needs to...
If you can imagine a smoke-fueled room about now, that is what Zach Sweeney is sitting in as his brain goes overtime. His cogs are working, and the smoke is coming out of his ears Wildly Coyote, who's eating a chili. That is what's going on in the middle of Zach Sweeney's room.
So basically, Gibbons needs to finish inside of the top 3 with the fastest lap to surefire win the championship. If Paples wins with the fastest lap and Gibbons is P3, they're tied. Paples in P1 and outside the top 4 is Paples' win. But if Gibbons is P1 or P2, Paples has no chance. There we go. That's the AM contingent. For the pros, obviously with 11 points difference as things stand, we're going to need Dalmont to win with the fastest lap, and then Mold needs to be in 7th place.
Yeah.
Wow. That's. Do we even have 7 pros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do. We have 8. Oh, so.
It's possible, but Mold's got to have some form of incident or accident, right?
Yeah.
And we don't wish that on anybody, but I'm saying for him to be in that position, we would need to have an incident or accident. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go, Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah, looking forward to this final race then, and looking forward to Dan Lewis doing all the work for us.
Ourselves headache.
No, I'm fine. Might take some cocodamol. Who knows? Ease it off a little bit.
Fine, but might need the ibuprofen by the time I get out.
No, we're fine. We'll go to the grid in just a few moments' time. And it's going to be a very interesting final race, not only of the season, but of TCRs as a whole.
Final race, and look where Kev Aylett is.
Well, yeah, up there in at P3 on the grid. So it's Van der Linde from Mol, then Aylett. Van Kampen rounds off the front 2 rows ahead of Chris Barnes and Stuart Gibbons in P6. Cooper Akers there ahead of Deck Crowther. Of course, Gibbons needs to move his way inside the top 3 and have the fastest lap. Ahead of Cooper Akers, Deck Crowther, Dan Pables in P9 from Geraghty, the top 10. John Brown, McNally share row 6. Then comes Kim Andre Bjorklund, Adam Delmont in row 7. Dan Mold rounds off the top 15, and Alan McCain there in 16th, waiting for Van der Linde to get onto the grid before 15 more minutes is upon us. Let's bring it on.
We're actually waiting for Alan McCain. Oh, and Chris Van der Linde. They're both not there. I thought they were. So, hold on a minute. I'm so confused. Who's sat on the front? Yeah, Simray Sweden. Yeah, Van der Linde is there. So it's just McCain to go. Billy Mold's there. Kev Ayllett's there. Kev and Billy have got to do 2 things. Either work together or let them go.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, 5 red lights are on. The final time then this season. The final time for the JPB TCR's race 3 here in Zolder is up and running. Let's see what the start's going to be from the pole position sitters. Chris Van der Linde gets away quite well. Kev Aylett immediately on the attack of Billy Mole, his teammate going into turn 1. Of course, a pinch point at the apex. Kev Aylett on the inside. Billy Mole able to keep his foot in quite nicely the long way around. Couple of chops and changes up and down the field. Most people, though, keeping it nice and sensible in the opening moments, knowing what's at stake. 3 wide, though, going into turn number 2. Definitely not really keeping it very calm and composed for the most part. McNally and Geraghty fighting over the pro lead. Right now, though, we've got an entire split between the 2 fields, which is definitely going to make it quite confusing for these guys to negotiate through the races. They have to carve their way through both respective packs.
Yeah, Delmont has got to be where he is. Mould has got to be 3 places behind. So Dan Mold's managed to wiggle his way past John Brown, Fraser Geraghty and a few others. Bjorklund in there once again. So he's managed to wiggle through that. Mole's wriggled past Van der Linde. Now he's either going to play a part for Aylett or concentrate on getting himself up the road. So it's really for Billy Mole which way he's going to go and how he's going to go.
Exactly. Is he going to defend? Is he just going to provide some swift passage for those behind? We will find out. Huge send, though. Kev Aylett straight into the side of Chris Van der Linde going into the back-end hairpin. That has caused a bit of an upset up and down the field. Kev Aylett now out of the running, potentially the championship with some bad luck. What has happened here? I think it was just far too late on the brakes and then tagged round.
Oh, Akers. Oh, my God, blimey. What has gone on here? Oh, Barnes. No. No. Oh, right as we're behind the bridge, you. Wow. So there's the initial contact. Is that Peoples in there? No, Peoples is still.
No,
how did he
P2.
get up front? A lot of People's Championship has just gone out the Sweeney with that one incident there. And Aylett, Akers and Van der Linde are in the pits. Barnes is out. Billy Mole's leading. People's in second. But look who's behind him. He needs to stay there as best as he can Stuart Gibbons.
Yeah. I mean, as it stands, it depends how likely Dan Paples is to get the fastest lap. That's going to be the deciding point. Also then depends who's got the most race wins, who I would bet on being Paples. Couldn't tell you, though, with 100% certainty, obviously, for a countback situation. Right now, though, Gibbons would be the AM champion. Same 2 in the pros. It would be Mould from Delmont as things stand in 6th and 7th. So, obviously, unfortunately for Delmont, Mould was not involved in that calamity. Both of them still, nose to tail in the race.
Yeah, they are. But Delmont needs to be the other way, and Mould needs to be down the back end. As Mole's clearing Van Kampen now. Well, I don't know if Van Kampen actually just let both of them through. I think he may have done. And that's not where Delmont needs Mould. He needs Mould behind Kim Andre Bjorklund down here. So anything can still happen because Adam McNally could play a massive part for Adam Delmont if he wants to, as Mould takes the fastest lap.
Does. So an extra point for him, just to rub salt in the wound. McNally wide. That's going to allow Mold to, of course, close the gap. For these guys, of course, don't forget, there's not only the drivers, but also the SRL rivalry in the Teams Championship between, obviously, SRL and SRL Next Gold, between the pair of them. So be interesting to see. Of course, the Adams are on one team, and then it's Mould and Brown on the other. And not too much different than, of course, in the championship. Coming into today, only 11 points or so. Mould has had a fantastic day. To be fair, neither has, well, Mark Brown's also had a decent day in the office. McNally and Dalmont, not their best as such, so maybe that's going to be quite close in the championship going forward. 10 minutes left on the clock. Mould ahead of Paples, who needs to win this race at the bare minimum and maybe find an extra burst of pace to get the fastest lap. Who knows what can happen, but with the rest of the AMP contingent out of the race, essentially, with Crowther down in P11, it's going to be hard for Gibbons to lose any places.
Yep, it will be. But he's now in that boot place, isn't he? That's Akers, that's a back marker. Peoples is up the road chasing down Mole. Mole can do a job for Gibbo, but can Gibbo do a job for himself and deciding what he's going to do here? Because if he lets these pros through, it's a further distance he's got to go to get to Peoples. So for Gibbo, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment, as Mould is looking at going up the inside of McNally. McNally didn't defend that line, but he will have the inside line for 2 as Akers tries to get out of the way. McNally can send it up there if he's brave. He isn't going to be big and brave. I thought he might have been there.
Yeah, I thought so, but still time left to go in this race for things to chop and change. Delmont trying to find his way past McNally and does it in a much more civil way, albeit not done. Delmont through, McNally tucked in behind of his teammate, of course trying to solidify as many points possible for their pro battle. Delmont and Mould looking to pursue after Gibbons, Paples and Mould, but right now they're still going to be scoring the same points regardless, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. We need Mould. For Delmont, Mould needs to be down behind McCain. And unless something drastic happens, that's not going to happen. So it looks like it could be Delmont's championship.
I think so. I wouldn't bet on Delmont unless Mould disconnects or something drastic. Like, I think the only way that Delmont is going to win this championship is a miracle. If he does win this championship, then I would say that is his luck run out, essentially. Mould looks very secure to be the champion in the AMS. It seems very secure that Gibbons is going to be, but again, who knows? This is the fight for P1 in the AMS. This is exactly what Paples needs. Billy Moll goes wide, Paples pulls alongside. It is going to be the outside towards turn number 1, which is difficult, but if you can just strong arm your way on the racing line, definitely a possible move to be made. He catapults himself into the race lead momentarily. How eager is Billy Moll going to be to give this one up? Not very, side by side as they run the way towards turn 2.
Yeah, it's going to be what happens, going to exit out of 3. They're coming round 3 now. Is Mole going to be able to run that outside line through 4, though? That's going to be a tricky one. Is he going to try to cut back on Peoples? He needs to get his nose in there. Peoples takes that position away. So this really, for Gibbo, at the moment, would give Peoples 25. And it would give Stuart Gibbons 21. So 290 versus 289 at the moment.
Yeah, not much. It literally just needs a fastest lap point, but 38.4 at the moment is the pace set by Dan Mould. I don't want to doubt Paples, but that's going to be a hard time to beat.
Yeah. People's on 38.7, Mould on a 38.4, so it's 3 tenths he's got to try and find from somewhere, and I don't think he's going to be able to try and find that pace, to be fair.
It's going to be tough, but it's his only hope of a championship, so he better go and find some pace. I mean, now he's obviously got the race lead. He can push a little bit. He's got some clear air, nothing really to worry about, and he's going to be hoping that Mould gets caught up enough that he's not really able to put in a good lap either. He's still trying to find his way past Billy Mould. Delmont there as well. 6 minutes left of this season. It comes down all the way to the water. To be fair, even though Delmont seems secure to be losing this championship, him and Mould throughout the entirety of the championship have been very, very close. There is the fast lap for Dan Mould, even quicker, a 38.2 as well, which Mould, when it counts, really did arrive.
Yeah, but for Dan Mould, it's going to be job done, I think. And as I say, unless something chaotic happens, which I don't think it's going to. I think Billy's going to play the game and allow Mould through, which he does. What's Peoples going to do? That's going to be the question.
It is. How can he respond? How can he find some time? How can he pick his way into championship contention? I mean, to be fair, would he be anyway if he'd not missed so many rounds? I think he's missed 3 so far this season. Of course, he can only drop 1 of them. And the rest of was he? I don't think he was even here last week.
Oh, Billy Bowl!
He's gone.
He's gone. That's going to now put Gibbo in a good place for that 2nd place. That's 23 points for Gibbo. It's going to be done and dusted. Peoples can't get any more than he's got already. And if Gibbons can stay in that 2nd place and just finish the race, he should win the AM Championship.
Yep. Keep it on the road. Stay safe. Keep it on the grey stuff, and you should be fine. Only 5 minutes left to go. And our champions, both in the top, well, seconds, no, both of them in the top 2 of their respective classes to finish off the race. Of course, Mole leading, Gibbons in 2nd. Very close to the rear end of Gibbons there. That would have been to the delight, I'm sure, of Dan Papers if he was able to take him out there, but of course able to keep it under wraps.
Well, we don't want him to take him out.
No, we don't, unless you're a Papers fan. Gibbons basically saw that and said, yeah, off you go, mate. Not risking that again.
Yeah, it's not going to happen at the moment for Dan Mould. I've got here, Dan Peoples, sorry, I've got him on 289. I've got Gibbo on 292. That's the situation at the moment.
Yeah, 3 points over the course of, well, yeah. So we had 23 races, and it comes down to 3 points, which is insane. McNally versus Gibbons, then of course Delmont there in the mix. McNally finds his way back through on his teammate, and oh my goodness me, McNally launches it over the curb, and that's what we mean when we come to the Kleiner chicane. That is the curb that causes so much problem.
Yeah, it definitely does. And for Adam McNally, he's now put himself into the back of Garrity. And that's not what they needed for the team standings. However, JB is behind McNally, so they might survive. For Gibbo at the moment, it's now that choice. Let Bjorklund go or fight him. Me personally, let him go all day. Just let him go. You don't want to risk it for a biscuit. It's not worth it. Let him go round 8. Let McNally go and keep holding that position. You've got a long way to go. Oh, Adam. Here before he gets into Crowber, so there's, yeah, for Gibbo there's really not much hope that he really needs to do. Just finish the race, I think, with 3 minutes remaining.
Yeah, bring it home. Unfortunately not the grandstand fight for the lead for the championship, you know, fantasy that we all hope for when it comes to finales. Sometimes they do end, well, realistically, sometimes before we can even enjoy them when it comes to the finales. With pace differentials and things, it all comes down to who's quick on the day. Bjorklund looking to the outside of Adam Delmont. That would put the nail in the coffin. And yeah, know that Delmont's chance of a championship are dwindling. And he is going to be looking to get the up and under on the inside of this fast right-hander. Gives it a little bit of a look. Delmont not really too phased by it. Penultimate lap of the race, of course, maybe just. Who knows if they're going to get another one in. All dependent on Dan Paples as they come under towards the Kleiner chicane. Delmont on the inside. Bjorklund trying to go the long way round. Fair enough.
Yeah, brave from Kim Andre Bjorklund there. Very, very brave indeed. What about Mould and Peoples? Well, Peoples is in first place. Mould is behind him. Again, it's that choice moment. Does he let him go? Does he stay with him? I think this is going to be the final lap this time around. They're going to have about 22 seconds to get over the line. So again, it's going to be very, very close whether or not this will be the final lap. But we'll pick up on the cockpit of Dan Peoples, and then we'll be able to see if Barney is waving. But it's still battles of Bjorklund, Delmont, McNally, Brown, Gibbo, Garrity, McCain, and Crowver. 43, 42, 41, 40. He is waving. Last lap up and running of this race before we wrap this up with the driver interviews after.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see their thoughts, their feelings, their reflections on the championship and their hopes going forward as well. On to then the penultimate lap of the race. No flag being waved as of yet. Delmont there in 4th. Nally just in behind, still battling away. And Dan Mould looking to vie for the overall win, even if he doesn't necessarily need it. He wants it because there's not really much better way to win a championship.
No, there isn't, and McNally needs to hold on to the position for JB. He needs to keep JB behind him. That would be the team standings. McNally there and Dalmont trying to work together to keep JB behind, and they're running too wide. McNally's just going to back off, allow Dalmont to go through. JB's had to take a sharper line. Gibbo's in the mix and just going to go, no. Hopefully you guys can go through and leave me alone. However, he isn't got that luxury, as he's got Fraser Garrity right behind him having a good old ding-dong with Alan McCain, which is not helping Gibbo's cause whatsoever. Gibbo just needs to finish the race. He needs to finish in that place where he is. He can afford to let them go because it's going to be Crowther. Crowther's not going to make the move because it's his teammate and his sister team to allow Gibbo to have that position.
Exactly, so I think it's going to be fairly uniform to the end. Dan Paple's about to start the final lap of the race. No, he's not actually. He's going to take the checkered. It's the final run to the line then, and Dan Paple's taking the overall victory. Not quite enough for the championship. He's only going to settle for P2, but that man right there, Dan Mould, back to championship winning ways with a sensational triple pro victory this evening. Kim-Andrew Bjorklund and Adam Dalmont round off the pro podium. Where is Mr. Stuart Gibbons? Of course, he is the AM champion.
Yeah, he is.
What a result for him.
Yeah.
What an evening.
Incredible. Incredible from the Royals. We're waiting for two more to come over the line. Last place man will be Stephen Van Kampen, as he's coming off through Klein and on that run through Butte and through Villeneuve. So very, very, very good racing from all of these guys. We will get some in for a chat very, very shortly here, as we'll be running through the interviews, but we're just going to wait for final confirmation. Of course, this is only provisional, guys, because there is obviously a protest that they can put in the morning. Whether or not that's going to affect the standings, that will be something completely different. But we'll find out there what's going to happen once more. But I think this should be pretty well wrapped up.
I think so. I don't think when everything settles down, wasn't too much that went wrong. Not really much that can change the tidings of the results anyway. Most of it was fairly secure, fairly uniform. And yeah, that's the season done and dusted. That is the JPB TCR leg done. We went, of course, the UK Tour, the first season, the American Tour for the second, and now the third and final. And we took a trip around Europe, and what 3 fantastic seasons they were that led us all the way to this point. Before, of course, we said goodbye for the Soggy Bottom Series. Anyway, the final results then of the final race. Dan Paples eventually taking to the top step in the overall standings. Dan Mould, the pro champion in P2, ahead of Kim-Andrew Bjorklund and Adam Dalmont, who was close, but not quite enough. McNally, they're the top 5 ahead of Brown and Gibbons, the AM champion, the Blade Designs Gamma driver, securing the top spot. Alan McCain, Dick Crowther, Billy Mole, the top 10, ahead of Fraser Garrity, Kev Aylett, Stephen Van Kampen, Cooper Akers, Chris Van Glinder, and Chris Barnes, the top 16 and final. And well, we are moving ourselves over into the interview room. We can have a chat with a couple of drivers. First and foremost, I think we'll have a chat with Adam McNally, of course, and as he reflects on his season as a whole, of course, the SRL driver, partnered with Adam Dalmont. For you guys, obviously in the drivers, not quite enough for Adam to secure the driver's title. But in the teams, as a result, both of you and the season as a whole, in fairness, I mean, just reflect on it. Not bad going, with plenty of race wins, plenty of podiums, and plenty of points.
Yeah, it's been a great season. I mean, not last week, the 2 weekends before. Well, struggled with pace, I think, and lost us a bit points in the championship. But all in all, it's been a great season. It's been good fun. I mean, with some fast drivers.
Exactly that. And yeah, great reflection, of course, for this season. Now it's sort of spelt an end to the end of the touring car leg of things. Are we expecting to see you get a soggy bottom?
Well, jumping in the GRs. I mean, I do really like the GR. I mean, what a wicked little car. I'd be up for that.
It's a Formula.
Awesome.
It's a Formula Ford.
Oh well, wait. I'm not a big open wheeler driver, to be fair.
Come on, it's a Formula Ford. It's all 3 tracks in iRacing, and you just get to see different variations of the rain.
Do you see how many times I bumped the doors or maybe kiss a wall? I'll have no wheels left by the time I finish in that Formula Ford.
Fair point, mate.
Well, Adam, fair play for this season, mate. You've done a phenomenal job, partnered with Delmont, the SRL contingent, ending it off with a bang. Of course, JPB taking over from SRL, and then you dominate the final season of the JPBs as SRL. So very well done, and well, best luck for the future. Whether or not we see you getting a soggy bottom or whatever championship we might see you in the future. Of course, before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, just you guys for doing the broadcast. Everyone that does the work behind the scenes, sorting the points and everything, and everyone that's turned up and made the championship what it is.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you very much. Take care. We'll see you soon.
All right, cheers.
Adam McNally then, in the end, not quite enough to secure the top spot in the championship. But next up, let's take a quick chat. Let's go with Kim Andre Bjorklund. Let's bring him in. Of course, a phenomenal end to the championship for you. Reflect on your season as a whole. Of course, a slightly slower start. As the season got underway, though, your momentum really kicked into overdrive with some staggeringly quick pace, both today in qualifying throughout the 3 races, and P3 in the championship. Not bad going.
It's good. I really unlocked the pace when I switched to the Audi. It suited me better than the Hyundai, which I started with. So I think that's the difference between the start and later, and more practice with the TCRs, of course.
It's been a very good season for you, so nice to see that you did make that progress. Of course, now the JPBs are moving away from the TCRs. Are we going to expect to see you obviously getting yourself into an open wheeler and tackling the rain?
Not sure. I'm doing the GT4, so most of my time will be there.
Well, maybe so. It depends, obviously, what you're feeling like, whatever it is. Best of luck, of course, for the GT4s, and best of luck for whatever future series we see you in. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you want to give?
Of course, my teammates, who's always backing me, and you guys sharing our madness with the world.
Well, yeah, it definitely does get a little bit carnage, a little bit chaotic out on track. A lot of carnage to touch on. Kim, thank you for this season, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Best of luck, of course, for your future endeavours, and congratulations for your results this season.
Thanks.
Awesome stuff. Kim Andre Bjorklund, P3 in the championships at the end of the running. We'll go with Cooper Akers next up. Of course, had an up and down evening. Not bad in terms of pace. Unfortunately, not enough to see him take to the top spot in the championship. Ending off the season, all of that hard work there in P3 in the AMS. Not bad going considering how competitive it was.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of rounds, and wish I would have gotten through that huge pile up on race 3, but no, it's a bad part of the track and people are just going everywhere. I got some things I'd say to some people, but no, I'm going to be a gentleman about it, but but yeah, just people going everywhere.
Yeah, it was very difficult to negotiate, I'm sure. Very difficult to react, especially when you've not got the most responsive of machinery as well underneath you. Obviously, congratulations for this season. Going forward, do we expect to see you back in any form for any JPB leagues? Of course, the TCRs are over and done with. Are you coming back for the Formula Fords, or are we going to see you in the Clios or the GT4s, whatever? What's the future looking like?
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be doing any JPP ones, but because I've gotten so used to the touring cars now that I'm kind of wanting to run those, so I'll probably have to shop around for another one. But yeah, it was a good league. This one, good fights, good people, and good fun.
Absolutely. Well, Cooper, thank you very much for this season. Congratulations on P3 in the championship. Best of luck for your next touring car league. I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it. And before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give?
Quick question. Did I finish ahead of Kev?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'll have to put a picture of my mohawk into the chat one time because that was the thing. But yeah, shout out to everyone for a great championship, and hopefully see them again soon.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Some stuff. Cooper Akers then P3 in the AM Championship. Suppose the next thing to do is talk to Mr. Adam Delmont, who was close, but not enough for you tonight, mate. Unfortunately, finishing just 16 points shy of the championship. But reflect on it. I mean, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I'm sure there was a lot of things that maybe you could improve on? Hindsight, of course, is a dangerous thing, but not to take anything away from the positives that you shared. I mean, going toe-to-toe with Dan Mould for a whole season is not bad going.
Good evening, you two.
Good evening, buddy.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm a bit cheesed with myself. I didn't drive the best I could tonight, and a little bit of unlucky in places, just getting held up in wrong places, allowing Dan to get past again. And because he were quick round here anyway, it's not really one of my strong tracks. Ideally, I needed to come into tonight ahead so that I could just kind of have a bit of a chance. Dan were always going to be quick round here. I just struggle with Civic through any kind of chicanes with big curbs on. I just find it really difficult to carry momentum through them. And then, race 3, obviously, Billy caught me out braking really early, so I just tried to throw it to the side of him so that I didn't hit him square on back, and still caught him anyway. And that just absolutely spangled my car. So then it would just hold on for dear life with the steering wheel at like 25 degrees to the left. So at that point it was like, yep, that's it, it's done. But do you know what? It has been a really good fight. There's been some really good races with me and Dan, and Kim's come along as well towards end and got really quick. And there's been some amazing races. So fair play, Dan. Dan had it when he needed it, and he's driven a blinder tonight, and fair play to him. Hats off.
Absolutely, you've driven a fantastic season, Adam. Of course, going forward, I mean, your success in the Clios and GT, are we going to see you in anything else? Of course, front wheel drive seems to be your specialty. Are you coming back for the Formula Fords on a Friday? What's the future looking like?
I'm not sure at the minute. I mean, I do keep looking at Clios. I do keep looking at the Clios, thinking, because I do enjoy racing Clio. But I do want to spend a bit of time concentrating on my official stuff and the endurances as well, because my son's been getting quite into it with me, and we've been partnering up to do some enduro stuff.
So we're going to see you in the JPB Endurance Series then?
When's that starting?
May.
Yeah, you might do actually. I'm at the moment trying to get my son like kitted out with a rig as well, or some wheels and pedals, because he's quick, man. He's very, very quick. I was definitely a proud dad watching him manhand up Porsche around Bathurst on 12-hour within, we had an unlucky race, but in his stints, he was pulling away from P1, 2 and 3. He was flying, so I want to get him on it, get him in some leagues and push him, and I think I just want to get my I rating up a little bit.
Clio's is a good start for him, mate, isn't it? For you, young
yeah, that went really well for your son, James.
Yeah, exactly. Well, until we decided to be a bit of a pleb and get himself banned. But yeah, apart from that, the Clio's is a good place to start, though.
Yeah, it is, and he likes the smaller stuff and what have you. So it's just got to try and get him kitted out. Obviously, it's not a cheap thing, is it? And the problem I've got is my rig's. I've been building my rig for quite some years, so it's not bad. And it's like he says, trying to go to something like just cheap to get him on. After being in mine, he's like, I can't cope with it. I'm too used to yours.
Just get him a wheel, strap it to his desk, and that will do for a start off with.
Yeah, strap it to his legs.
Yeah, get him a GT Omega or something, a little tabletop thing.
Yeah, so no, I'm looking forward to getting him on that. But I will be honest, Clio is tempting. I do run my Tuesday night next gen TCR, so I think if I was going to do leagues, it'd have to be 2 nights a week. I think 3 nights a week moving forward. I do need to cut it back and give myself at least a night or 2 where I can maybe get some official stuff and concentrate on my I rating, because I think it should be higher than it is, but I just don't run them. So yeah, that's me moving forward at the moment, mate. I'm a little bit undecisive, and just not sure. I'm torn at the minute. I'm like, Clio, TCR, but do I want to do something different? I've done them now for a couple of seasons, and I'm like,
We got the Formula Fords in the rain coming up as well, mate, on a Friday.
Yeah, that could be interesting. It's not a car I've driven a lot, to be fair, but it is. When I have driven it, it has been just for a faff about on private test, and it has always been a fun little thing to throw around.
Yeah, well, I've sent you the link for the endurance series, mate, and obviously if you click on league racing, all of them are listed on there. So take your pick, buddy. There's quite a few going on. Well, 6 or something happening this season. So yeah.
Well, I shall certainly take a look, bud. You know, even if I don't know, I don't know how we'd like do it, like, but even if there's a league I'm not doing, you know, I can always get Lewis to sign in on his account on my rig, and he can just use it for a night, get him on, get him known. So yeah, you may see a Del. You've got a good chance of seeing a Delmont. It's just which one.
Oh, but
Hopefully, neither is neither an option.
I don't know, but he might actually
you
hold
need
it
to
together
back
on last
up.
lap. So.
Yeah, you need to back up, Mr. Sweeney. You've been giving poor Adam grief over the last 2 series, you little rascal. But let him go. We need to have a chat with Stu Gibbons.
Yeah, let's do it. See you later, Adam. Mate. Take
Good
care.
night, you too. Take care.
Adam Delmont, the regional bottle job of the JPB leagues. I was hoping he left before I could say it.
Yes.
Anyway, we've got
Stu Gibbons.
Stuart Gibbons, the AM champion of the
Quality broadcasting up here tonight, Stu. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. We're TV worthy up here, I tell you, when you got a commentator who don't even know who's got in the interview booth.
Hang on, I got a message from Adam McNally. Blame McNally. He messaged me. I clicked away, and then we've got someone else to speak. We have got, all right, the Euro TCR Cup, whatever you want to call this championship, AM champion of Stuart Gibbons. A tough one tonight, though, considering Dan Paples' ridiculous pace. Managed to hang on in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened tonight. I was awful. I was fine in practice, fine in quali, and then we got on the track and it was like ice for the first few laps, and I think it just threw quite a lot of people. It certainly threw me. And what I hadn't realised till about halfway through that race was that my brake bias was too low, so I had to bring it back up, and then I started finding a bit of driving, but I was still making mistakes after mistake. Slow down after slow down, and I was like, oh my god, this thing is just slipping away and slipping away. And I thought all we can do is keep going. As long as we finish each race, you've got a chance. So that was the aim.
And, well, it worked out in the end, obviously walking away with the AM championship. Of course, for you, I mean, are you retiring on a high? Are you coming back in any JPB, obviously, leagues, the Clios, the GT4s, the Endurance League that's coming up? Or, of course, well, you're getting your bum wet?
The GT4s, I should be in again. Been doing that every season. So, yeah, I'll be returning for the GT4s. I think that's probably all I'm going to be doing. But to be honest, I'm quite gobsmacked that I've actually won. I thought Dan Peoples. I mean, you know, the guy is so quick, ridiculously quick. And I think had he turned up for every race, you wouldn't be talking to me in P1. But you know, he didn't, and I'm here, so I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, mate, because what a phenomenal season it has been. Ups, downs, lefts, rights, twists and turns at every avenue, and a very closely stacked AM championship. Was very, very big congratulations for you and your results. Very, very proud, I'm sure, of what you've achieved, and was best of luck for the future. Any shout-outs you want to give now as a champion?
Well, as always to you guys, but Blade Designs, Barnsey, who's been my teammate and has had the worst luck for the last month with having no internet. You know, had he had internet, we may have been team champions as well. Who knows? But we aren't. Tartar, and well done to Kev and Billy for taking the championship. They had a great run. Well,
best of luck for you for the future. Thank you, of course, for this season. You've done a phenomenal job. Take care, and I suppose we'll see you at the next one.
Nice one. Cheers, Zach. James, as always.
Care, mate.
Shut up.
Stuart Gibbons, then, the champion of the AMs. And now we get Kev Ayler, who seems to be quite surprised that he's coming to speak to us. Kev, not quite the championship, but a decent season nonetheless.
I'm a team player. We won the team championship. That's what I'm happy about. We nailed it. for the third season in a row as well.
All right.
It's turning into Craig Jones.
I know. Me and my 5 trophies.
The difference between me and Craig Jones is I'm still alive.
Whoa! Kev! God damn it! He's still alive as well.
We can still make that joke, can't we?
Yeah, he's like Jesus, mate. He was born again, wasn't he?
It's almost Easter. So it's appropriate.
Exactly.
Jesus, that's one for TikTok. Blimey. What? That caught me off guard. Right.
It's a wise old brain, Zach. Is that?
See, you got
no,
me
it's
quick.
fine. What was it? What was it? He wasn't even awake for like 5 hours before I was rinsing him in the Discord, something like that. But yeah, he deserves it. Every little bit of it. But yeah, karma, I suppose. Kev Aylett, obviously for you going forward, I mean, what championship are you going to be winning the team's championship in next?
Probably not doing one, to be honest. So this was the swan song for the touring cars for myself. So I'm heading out into something a little bit different, which is going to be LMP3s and Super Formula Lights in the official stuff. So yeah, it's not quite the touring cars, but I think I'm a bit tired by them now personally as well. So
yeah, I think that's the situation. Without an update or without something coming for them, we've just, as I say, we decided enough was enough, wasn't it? After this one. Exactly.
I've driven these cars solidly for a couple of years now, and yeah, I haven't improved that much. So let's try my hand at something different and see what happens.
Best luck to you, mate. Well, thank you for coming in and having a chat with us. Before you go, as another team's champion, any shout outs you want to give?
I want to shout out to the entire league. Obviously, I've ran the league here for the past season, and ups, downs, left, rights, you name it, it's been good. But what we've seen is some great battles, some great camaraderie between the drivers, and we've had a good turnout for the last race of the season as well, which made, I think, the action pretty intense. The AMs was so close. So it's a big thank you to everybody involved. A big thank you for the support everyone's given. And you know, it's been an awesome experience, and I'm glad the season has finished on a high, because that's what everyone wanted.
Yeah,
thanks to everybody.
We need to give you a big shout out as well, Kev, for taking on the season. You've done an absolutely incredible job there, bud, taking some of the workload off me. So, you know, a big thanks from me to you as well, buddy.
You're welcome, and much appreciated. Much appreciated. And onwards and upwards for you guys.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and we'll see you boys later. Take it easy.
Ciao, ciao. Kev Aylett, the team champion for another season, of course, and local Craig Jones Slater. He's taken my job. He's probably not the first person to do that in the coming future, I'm sure. James Parfitt, then the boss man at the top this season. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it has. It's been really good, and I think going forward we made the right choice. I think we've had to come away. It's been it's kind of been a dying breed of iRacing, which is a shame, because I would have loved to have seen the new cars come in and stuff like that, and they're just not happening. And I think we had to make the choice of what the situation was going to be. We made to move ways, but we're going to give the old Formula Fords a good opportunity in the Tempest weather system to get a little bit of a soggy bottom. So if you fancy coming around with that, go to jpbbroadcasting.com and head to League Racing. There is, I believe, 6 leagues listed on there that you can get yourselves involved with. Clio's Monday, GT4's on Wednesday. We've got the resumption of the NASCAR League. They've got 2 rounds to go before we move into NASCAR Trucks for a 13-race season. We've got the 100% NASCAR Community Cup. We've got the Endurance World Tour. And, of course, we've got the Soggy Bottom series coming on, which is the Formula Ford in different variations of rain on all free content in iRacing.
Well, there we go. Plenty of good things on the horizon for JPB leagues. Make sure you are getting yourself involved. Go take a look on the website and get yourself into Discord to see all the finer details. Get yourself involved. We'd love to see you out on the track sometime. And of course, when it comes to the broadcast as well, if you don't really want to be racing, but you'd love to be spectating, make sure you're tuning into JP Broadcasting. Plenty of broadcasts. I think record 6 on Sunday or something like that. Yep. There's always something that will tickle your fancy, whether it's open wheels, GT4s, GT3s, touring cars, anything, whatever tickles your fancy, it will be here at, well, one of the homes of community sim racing. My name has been Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt, and also Callum Milam across the season in the commentary booth. From us up here, well, we thank you all for watching. We thank you all for being a part of the TCR Cup. It is coming to a close. But we will see you back in a few weeks' time as the Soggy Bottom Series takes to the grid. In the meantime, it's goodbye for now.
Jungle.